so-called father killed his baby boy, his young son, and then researched how to pass a polygraph test. This is unbelievable, and he is beyond evil. A 24-year-old Indiana man allegedly researched how to pass a polygraph or a lie detector test after his newborn son was brought to the hospital with injuries that ended up causing his death. This is Oliver Clayton Lee Young, and he is charged with neglect of a dependent, aggravated battery, and domestic battery. As I said, his son was just a few weeks old. He was a newborn. According to reports, police were notified about the infant at the hospital on October 17th of last year, 2025. That was by a family case member who said the child was near death with injuries that did not look to be accidental. A pediatrician doctor reportedly told authorities that the little boy's mom had brought him in for a routine regular checkup, and the doctor noticed a bruise on the baby's back during that appointment. The mother tried to claim the baby must have rolled over on a pacifier, but the doctor was skeptical about that because the baby was only a few weeks old and was not able to roll over by himself yet. So the doctor reportedly sent the baby with his parents to an emergency room where a doctor suspected the baby boy had a brain bleed. He was then transferred to a children's hospital with life-threatening conditions, and during that time, it was said the parents kept giving inconsistent stories about how their son was hurt. Meanwhile, the baby's grandmother reportedly told police she was concerned about a blood spot that had been in the baby's eye that had been there for more than a week. On October 20th, an MRI showed swelling in the baby's brain, but the baby was eventually considered stable enough to be discharged from the hospital. Y'all listen to this. The authorities allowed that baby boy to go back home with his parents after all this. And then on October 29th, so several days later, the boy's mother called 911 to report that he was unresponsive. So I blame partly the court system and the authorities on this as well. Doctors then found pretty much no brain activity with significant head trauma and internal bleeding. A doctor said the baby's injuries were consistent with him being shaken. Unbelievable. So the child was airlifted back to the children's hospital yet again the next day. Doctors there at that hospital reportedly found a healing fracture in the baby's leg, which said that could be either from shaking or the baby being pulled by his leg. They further found several healing fractured ribs that they said would have happened if the baby boy was squeezed too hard. On November 2nd, so a few days later, like 3 days later, the baby was sadly declared brain dead. The Marion County Coroner's Office determined the baby's cause of death to be craniocerebral trauma and determined that the manner of death was indeed homicide. It was said that when authorities spoke to family members at the apartment that Oliver here lived at with the baby and the baby's mother, the authorities found out that the baby boy had been heard crying on the morning of October 29th. That was when he was taken back to the hospital. And that Oliver here screamed at the baby to shut the fuck up. Who talks to a baby like that? Seriously. He also allegedly took the baby boy several times to the bathroom while he was crying. The child's grandmother reportedly told police that the boy's mom asked for help that morning because the baby was not taking his bottle. She said when the mom handed her the baby, he was pretty much unresponsive and struggling to breathe. Unreal. Oliver and the child's mom told police they thought the injuries were from the hospital staff. That was even though Oliver here made comments about being the one to take the blame for his son's death. He said, however, if he did kill his son, it was on accident. Then when investigators searched Oliver's phone, they found that he read an article on Quora about what to expect with a lengthy prison sentence. That was on October 29th. And then 2 days later, he read an article titled How to Cheat a Polygraph Test, 9 Hacks and Prep Tips. Police said his search history had then been manually deleted. This past Sunday, Oliver here was finally arrested and he was booked into the Huntington County Jail on a low $150,000 bond. He deserves no bond though. What a monster. I'm not sure why it took so long for him to be arrested. I'm guessing the investigation took that long to complete. But I honestly think the mom should be arrested too, because you can't tell me she didn't know something was happening. Maybe I'm wrong though, but the fact that Oliver said he would just be the one to take the blame almost sounds like they're both guilty. This jerk face deserves life in prison, and I pray he gets just that. Anyone who hurts a poor, helpless baby like this does not deserve to live, nor do they deserve to be out on the streets and in society. For more true crime, be sure to follow and subscribe if you're on YouTube.